She sent me and get the email address.
Okay, but right now in Scopa.
A very serious one. But let me hand over to Honorable Liz and then Honorable Hadebe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, it's an unfortunate set of circumstances, but it's all come together, and I would agree with Honourable Dirks that we try and schedule it as soon as possible and not let the thing run away from us. But that given that ESKOM officials haven't flown on SAA all the way to Cape Town and spent 2 nights in a hotel, the wasteful expenditure isn't going to be considerable. Thank you.
Right, right, Honourable Hadebe with an H.
Yes, Chair. Thanks, Upegomngane here. No, I fully concur with the 2 latter speakers, Chair. But I think such unfortunate circumstances should not happen in the future. I'm not too sure what led to the board of ESKOM having 2 meetings that are clashing. Either we did not inform them on time, or we did and they opted to continue with their board meeting. One has to find out what happened before we accuse them. But ideally, it will be of great importance that we send invitation and correspondence well in advance to avoid circumstances of this nature. I am not too sure what led to our administrative side not to invite the ministry. Usually conquers the brain. So maybe next time we need to spell it out who must be invited and not take it for granted that it's a foregone conclusion that in meetings of this nature we are expecting the administrative side to understand and know who must be invited. But it's quite disappointing. It must be noted and registered as such so that it does not happen in future. But I support the view of postponing this meeting.
All right. No, thank you very much, Honorable Hadeb. And as I'm saying, in fact, the correspondence from the chair was an SMS this morning. And because, as you may have seen, documentation was sent. On the issue of the letter to the ministry, as I'm saying, I do take responsibility for that, with the proviso that I will investigate with administration and come back to the committee as to why that did not happen. I will want a written representation on that side, because as I'm saying, the established standard operating procedures of the committee are that this should have happened, and the fact that it didn't will mean that our administration will have to explain. So I will provide an explanation that I will receive from the administration to the committee. It's something I view in a very serious light, and one which, as Honorable Hadebe says, should not have happened and must not happen again. We can't be floundering on due process, which we are expecting everybody else to comply with. It's a very, very serious a matter whose consequences would, of course, land us here. So I wholeheartedly agree with the sentiments of the committee, and I undertake to investigate with speed. I will have a meeting with administration as a matter of urgency on this matter. I'm advised that we can schedule for next week Wednesday, so that if the committee is in agreement with that, we will do so. So next week Wednesday is available.
So clarity
for the committee too.
So you're saying ESKOM,
yes.
SMS?
Yes, the correspondence from the chair was an SMS text message this morning.
The entire executive, the accounting authority, the board of ESKOM decide to recuse themselves via SMS Is that professional? And on the eve of the meeting, Nochal, and they expect us to accept that and move forward as if nothing has happened in terms of.
Can I show you? Honorable Ladebe, I must apologize because of my connection. I missed you there.
I'm saying in terms of good corporate governance, ethical leadership, such tendencies are unacceptable and cannot be tolerated, Chair. We can't be reduced into SMS as if they're communicating to their boyfriends and girlfriends on the 11th hour where they schedule a date. Now something else happened, they cannot come. This is unacceptable, Chair. It's completely utter disgust that they are disrespecting us, to say the least, for the lack of the better word. Abasboni, Chair, if I were to be addressing them in Xhosa, Chair, it's completely unacceptable. I thought they've sent you a formal correspondence in a form of a letter and follow up by an SMS to ascertain whether or not you have received their correspondence. We're talking about a board that is entrusted to oversee billions of rands, a board that's supposed to keep the lights of this country on at all material times. Now, when they're supposed to come appear before us to account, they have an audacity to send an SMS. Is this how they take the issue of accountability and the country? We've been faced with issues of load shedding. We have to accept now the board. No, Chair, I can't accept this. If it means then on Wednesday, when you're saying that time slot, we subpoena them to avoid. Chair, so be it. This is.
I'm not sure whether I'm still online. No. All right. No, I agree with Honorable bringing the necessary correspondence to the board on all the matters that you have raised. Honorable Somyo.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. In the first instance, I think your summary captures our sentiments that we can't continue with the meeting. Secondly, the fact that you would have to round up our support systems to ensure that their eyes are on the ball at all times. And then thirdly, I think is the instance where Hadebe, for a point of emphasis, which sought to say that though we are accepting that we postpone the meeting, in our next meeting, we need to take the board into the string to emphasize the point that we don't accept the way they are driving us into apologies. I always, since the lockdown, watched the Zondo Commission, how it deals with matters of those who absent themselves and sought to shortchange the sitting of the commission, and it's the same thing to Parliament. I must not take kindly into instances of trying to drive apologies in the last hour, which is indicative of the fact that at least there must be some form of a way of respect to deal with the committees of Parliament. Well, that would have to be addressed when we meet them, as we have summarized next week. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Somyo. Honorable Liz.
Mr. Chairman, just a quick comment to support what Begi was saying, Honorable Hadebe with an H. We shouldn't be surprised, really, because the Prof was appointed in an acting capacity in a temporary acting capacity in late last year, and is the same person who was responsible for doing tremendous damage to the universities of Wits and KZN. I think the problem is more a problem the appointments to the board. I mean, it really does need a strong permanent appointment to the chair of the board, and perhaps some of the members of the board themselves need to be looked at really closely. So I understand exactly what the issue is with regard to treating the committee with contempt, but I think it's a bigger problem with the appointments to the board. Thank you.
All right, no, colleagues, I agree with you. I think that we have had issues before with this board and ESKOM, and I continue to believe that there are serious shortcomings in the operations of management at ESKOM. I certainly think that the processes of protocol had not been observed, and I have confidence about the desired professionalism which must exist at such an entity. As Honorable Hadebe says, correspondence formally issued then be followed up with, yes, SMS text messaging and so on, just to make sure that things have arrived and that we are on the same page. But I think the bigger issue, colleagues, is for whether it was a letter or an SMS, for it to have arrived this morning is for me what is the fundamental issue, because in the absence of the board, they know we can't proceed. They are the accounting authority. And we have stressed this point. We have been down this road with ESKOM before. And so I think it must be understood, CEO, when you go back, just even though I'll be sending correspondence to communicate to the board our grave disquiet and dissatisfaction about the set of events as they've characterized themselves. Because I think whilst the minister may not have been invited, which, as I've said, that sits squarely on my table, but that would the absence of the minister would not have necessitated in any case a postponement. It's the board which must account, so that we don't live here with that impression. We are in large part because of the absence of the board, and then of course complicated by the absence of the minister, which is an issue. That colleagues, as you have proposed, to accept that with the understanding that I will report back to the committee in earnest, and I will correct the issues that have arisen, and I will keep the colleagues updated. So, Sistombi Putben, please secure the Wednesday time slot which you determine is available for us, and then there will be communication between us and ESKOM, the board, and the ministry and the department to make sure that everybody that needs to be here is here. So, colleagues, to the ESKOM CEO, we would want to bring it to an end on that score,
Chair?
and with the hope that, yes.
No, Chair, I think there's one issue that we must not lose sight of. I want to agree with Honorable Umazambane on the issue that he raised of this appointment of boards. You would recall the previous chair once told us that he did not ask to be appointed. Perhaps it's the same attitude with these boards. Maybe they don't want to do what they're doing. They were asked and they're unwilling. So let us not lose sight of that. It could be possible that we're dealing with people who don't want to do what they are doing, and hence their attitude. So I want to fully concur with Umazambane. The appointment of these members to the board, it's an issue here and it needs to be addressed. I don't know how we deal with it, but I think it ought to be addressed as soon as yesterday, Chair.
You know what, I think what we can do on that, I will engage with the Chair of Public Enterprise and see how we can get to have the ministry explain to us the processes underway for the purposes of appointing a permanent board. I think that needs to be put squarely on the part of the shareholder, and let us pursue that particular one, because it also speaks to the stability within the organization. It speaks to owning the processes which characterize the oversight which we are seized with. So I think what Honorable Liz and Honorable Hadebe raised is a fundamental point at the heart as to of whether the things that we want done will be done. Because if there is acting at such a high level for such a long time, that in itself should raise serious questions. So I think let us put that to the ministry as well. Yeah. Yes.
Honorable Chair,
Yes.
I've raised my hand quite a while ago. It's Dr. Malkwani from the ESKOM board. We received, and I've sent 2 chats. We received the wrong link to the meeting. Myself and Professor Mongalo have always been going to join the meeting. Unfortunately, we joined a few minutes late. But we are here. There's 2 of the board members that are here. Thank you.
No, the correspondence to me was that the board was meeting today. That's what was said to me. So
Honorable Chair, I don't know what that is, but the 2 of us had confirmed with the company secretary that this meeting we are attending. I don't know what's happening with the chair or what else is happening elsewhere. But this meeting, the 2 of us, we are attending. Thank you.
But the ESKOM delegation was read here. It was read to us. So when the meeting started, unless colleagues, I may have missed something, but I doubt I did.
We received a different link from Natasha. So the 2 of us and the company secretary joined later. The link that we had went to a different meeting.
Chairperson, let's not debate this matter. We have decided that we're postponing the meeting till next week, Wednesday. Next week, Wednesday, we want the whole board present. The chairperson of ESKOM and his whole board must be present next weekend, not 2 or 3. We want the whole board present together with the chairperson next week, Wednesday at ESKOM at the SCOPA meeting, so we can deal with the issues. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, I think we will leave it at that. Because as indicated in the list that was read, the board members were not included. I even said that I don't hear the names of the board and nobody corrected me, and we have labored up until this far. So I unfortunately, with all due respect, can't accept that. So I think, colleagues, we will leave the meeting.
Okay.
The meeting will stand adjourned, and the meeting will sit next week Wednesday.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Liz?
Just so that we're all on the same. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, to batten like this. My apologies, but just so that we're all on the same page, would it be possible to send us, the committee members, a copy of that SMS, so please?
Of course, I will forward it into the WhatsApp group for everybody. No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, well.
All right. Colleagues, thank you very much. The meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you, Chair. Let me go to Kokta.
Yeah,
where entities take
Uzoyilungisa nina ma-municipal.
No,